I think the request was to write a card or a note or something for a birthday book.
And did that come from Miss Maxwell?
I don't remember.
Mr. Wexner, would you please read the main body of the birthday note for the record, please?
I wanted to get you what you want, so here it is. Happy birthday, your friend Leslie.
And what was your understanding of what Mr. Epstein would want?
He was a bachelor, so I drew a pair of boobs. As a kind of a joke and offhandedly, I'd say.
Understand.
I hope you do.
You've said a few times throughout this deposition today that you did not consider Mr. Epstein a friend of yours. However, you signed this letter, and I quote, "your friend Leslie." Why would you sign "your friend Leslie" to someone you did not consider to be a friend of yours?
I don't know. I normally say Les, not Leslie, either when I write notes, and, you know, I guess I could. I can't explain why I would say your friend, because we weren't friends.
Did you ever speak to Miss Maxwell directly about this particular letter?
No.
A birthday book compiled for Jeffrey Epstein's 50th birthday in January of 2003. I will give you a second to familiarize yourself with the letter.
What's the exact number?
6. Mr. Wexner, is this letter familiar to you?
I have seen it before, yes.
Where have you seen it before?
Part of I think the documents preparation for today's meeting.
Did you yourself write this letter to Mr. Epstein?
Sadly, I did.
Did Miss Maxwell approach you to write this letter for Mr. Epstein's birthday?
I think the request was to write a card or a note or something for a birthday book.
And did that come from Miss Maxwell?
I don't remember.
Mr. Wexner, would you please read the main body of the birthday note for the record, please?
I wanted to get you what you want, so here it is. Happy birthday, your friend Leslie.
And what was your understanding of what Mr. Epstein would want?
He was a bachelor, so I drew a pair of boobs. As a kind of a joke and offhandedly, I'd say.
Understand.
I hope you do.
You've said a few times throughout this deposition today that you did not consider Mr. Epstein a friend of yours. However, you signed this letter, and I quote, "your friend Leslie." Why would you sign "your friend Leslie" to someone you did not consider to be a friend of yours?
I don't know. I normally say Les, not Leslie, either when I write notes, and, you know, I guess I could. I can't explain why I would say your friend, because we weren't friends.
Did you ever speak to Miss Maxwell directly about this particular letter?
No.
Did you ever speak to Mr. Epstein directly about this particular letter?
No.
Was this letter something that you would commonly send, lack of a better term, business associates?
No, of course not. I was trying to be funny.
I'm going to mark as Majority Exhibit 7, a photo. I'll give you a second to review.
Give one more.
One more. Are you in this photo?
Yes.
And Mr. Epstein is also in this photo?
Yes.
And a third individual is redacted in this photo?
Yes.
Do you have any way of knowing who the redacted individual in this photo is?
I know who the redacted person is in this photo.
Who is that redacted person?
My wife.
Understood. Do you
And
recall?
the man in the back is Peter Lurson, and the picture was taken in Bremen when the boat was launched. We got a bunch of pictures of the boat launching.
Do you recall what year that was?
We had 2 children, probably 3 or 4 years after we were married.
And did you invite Mr. Epstein to this boat launch party or event?
Not that I recall.
Can you recall who would have invited Mr. Epstein to this event?
No.
It is 2:08, and the majority will end this hour now and go off the record.
We can go back on the record. Welcome back. Got just a couple of follow-ups about some things you've already touched on. The New York City house. Do you remember when Epstein first had some kind of ownership interest in the home? I think you may have said after 1993.
Yeah, when I sold it to him, but I don't remember the date.
The sale is reported as 1998. As far as you know, would that be the first time that Mr. Epstein had any kind of ownership of the home?
Do you know? I don't know. I was just thinking, you could tell me any date. I know it was after we were married. And whether it was a year or two, I don't remember. But
Was that 1993?
we got married in 93, yes.
Do you recall at all Mr. Epstein talking about why he wanted the home?
No?
With respect to the home, I think you were asked whether you felt like the sale price was a fair deal for you. And I think your answer was yes. Is that right?
Yeah, yes, that's right.
And with respect to the plane, I think you were asked whether you felt like the company got a fair deal at $6 million. And I think you said yes. Is that right?
Yes, that was because that was the asking price.
I think your counsels represented to DOJ in 2019 that Mr. Epstein sold himself both those assets at deeply discounted prices, and that was part of his theft from you.
I never heard that before.
Do you have any sense of why that discrepancy would exist?
Not a clue.
In terms of Mr. Epstein's repayment to you, I think your counsels also represented that he repaid you about $100 million in 2008. Would you have any knowledge of exactly how much he repaid you or how?
No.
There were a few other physical assets I just wanted to quickly touch on.
Sure.
There was a second home in New York City at 11 East 71st Street, so it's right next to the home that we've been discussing. And it sounds like you bought the home in 1988, Epstein bought the home from you in 1992. Do you have any recollection of that home? Take your time.
Are you saying two homes in New York that were next to each other?
Yeah, right next to it. The address for this one would have been 11 East 71st Street.
No recollection of that happening.
There was and still is a condo building at 301 East 66th Street in New York. It's been reported that Epstein lodged many of his victims at that building. The reporting has also been that you once owned that building and that you sold it to Mark Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein's brother, in the early 90s. Do you have any recollection of that?
The building or the condo?
The building?
No.
No recollection. Okay. With respect to, I think, what we understand to be two homes in New Albany that Mr. Epstein owned at one point or another. So there was first a home on the 7500 block of King George Drive that Epstein received from you in 1990. Do you have any recollection of that home?
I know he bought a house from Jack Kessler, the one we've mentioned before. That's the only one I know about.
Got it. This, I think, is a separate home and was earlier in time.
No.
Okay.
No recollection.
That second home, I think you mentioned that Mr. Epstein bought it from Mr. Kessler. I think the documents show that it was a company that Epstein bought the home from, and I'll represent to you that it was you who signed the deed to Epstein. Would you have any knowledge about why that might have been the case?
I understand the question. I signed the deed to sell the house to sell Jack Kessler's house to Jeffrey.
Yeah, and it was in your capacity representing an entity of some kind that seems to have been associated with yourself and Mr. Kessler.
Just shocking.
Okay.
Does it ever occur to you that stuff like that could be just forgeries?
I think in this case,
He asked the
not
question.
likely.
No, I mean, it's like
It's okay.
me signing a deed to somebody else's house. It's just
It's okay.
okay. I'm sorry.
And the entity for that sale was JW and CPK and Company. Does that ring any bells for you?
No.
What is the history of that home, if you recall? In other words, was it originally built for Mr. Kessler to live in? Was it his primary residence?
Yeah.
And what do you recall as the purpose of the sale to Mr. Epstein? Why would Jeffrey Epstein, why did he buy that home, if you recall?
First of all, I didn't recall that he bought it. I don't remember that. I know Jack had financial problems, and he came to me and said, I've got problems, I got to sell my house. That's all I recall about it. I don't think I was ever in the house.
Do you recall Epstein purchasing it at the time? Were you aware of that?
No, I wasn't.
I'd like to ask a little bit about your personal relationship with Mr. Epstein. Some of the reporting has described you as close. I think that's been mentioned earlier today. I would just like to ask about a few examples that have been reported and just understand your knowledge of that.
Sure.
The New York Times, for example, has reported that sometime in the late 80s, Mr. Epstein managed the design and construction of your yacht, the Limitless. Do you have any recollection of that being the case?
Furthest thing from the truth.
Not true.
I worked on the design for 10 years, me. And it took 3 years to build the yacht, and the only person that was there beside me watching the construction was Abigail. period.
And a gentleman who represented himself to the New York Times as your former captain, Craig Tafoya,
Yep.
seemed to be of the understanding that Mr. Epstein had a role in designing the yacht. Mr. Tafoya, from your point of view, Mr. Tafoya is simply mistaken.
Absolutely mistake. If you wanted to, I could draw it in detail for you right now.
The Wall Street Journal has reported that Mr. Epstein would sometimes do personal tasks for you, such as helping your wife Abigail find a nanny or showing up at a restaurant with a gift for a mutual friend. Do you have any knowledge or recollection of those types of activities?
Never happened.
No recollection, or you believe that those things did not happen?
I have no recollection and believe they never happened.
Vanity Fair has reported that Mr. Epstein once broke up with a woman for you here in Columbus by going to her house. This, of course, was before you met your wife. Do you have any knowledge or recollection of that?
Well, did I break up with a woman? Yes.
Did Mr. Epstein perform the act directly or indirectly?
No.
I'd like to introduce as Minority Exhibit G an email from 2006. I'll give you a moment to look at it. I'll only be asking about a very short part, but feel free to scan it. What it looks like is an email from Mr. Epstein to somebody with a limited brands address, D. Larson. I don't know if you would have an idea of who that probably is.
My admin, Don Larson.
Great.
Can we have a chance to just read the email?
Sure, of course.
Thanks.
I forgot I knew Neil Rubenstein.
And at a certain point, I'll just direct your attention to a sentence.
Yeah. No, that's fine. It's just, he's not on this, so.
Yeah. So,
Just trying to get it.
at the very end of this email, Mr. Wexner, I would say close to the very end, there's a sentence that starts with, I believe that this information. And if you see that,
No,
I'm
where's
sure
that?
your counsel can guide you to it. And I'll read that out loud. This is a long email. It seems to relate to business topics and people. But Epstein signs off by saying, I believe that this information belongs to you, and under gang stuff rules, I cannot simply be the repository of people's hushed calls and not share with you. And the subject of the email is, for Les's eyes only, please do not circulate. So the phrase gang stuff rules, is that a familiar phrase to you in this context?
Jeffrey was like a Brooklyn guy. And he, in hindsight, he didn't use words like have a confidential discussion or my opinion, or this is secret or private or confidential, personal, things that lawyers or accountants might use in normal language. He would say, this is gang stuff.
Got it. So
But that was just how he talked.
it was a phrase that Mr. Epstein would use to mean confidential conversations.
To me, yes.
Okay. And this,
I don't think I never used the other words, which in hindsight, I didn't. Like my wife would never say, it's between us, dear. You know, their words or phrases that you associate with some people. And to me, it was just kind of funny that this Brooklyn guy would talk about gang stuff, and gang stuff might be what he ate for dinner or something.
would he use that phrase pretty commonly, whether it's in a verbal conversation or a written email?
I don't specifically remember, but I don't think he ever said confidential or private. It was like his language.
Okay, thank you. With respect to, we can move on from that email. With respect to the power of attorney that you gave Mr. Epstein 1991, I know it was discussed earlier. Could you just flesh out for us a little bit the theory of an unfettered power of attorney? In other words, it wasn't conditional or restricted to a particular account or a particular type of asset. It covered, as we understand it, all of your assets, which is an enormous, I think, step of trust. What is your recollection of why you made that choice?
Funnily enough, I think power of attorney is that. So the notion of having a limited power of attorney was kind of and that's just not how I would think about it. So Harold had a power of attorney, Jeffrey had a power of attorney, Dennis Hirsch had a power of attorney, because they needed it to do their work.
And did the advisor, as you recall, it sounds like the previous advisor before Mr. Epstein and the subsequent advisor after Mr. Epstein both had the same scope of power of attorney?
I don't know specifically, but I would think they were. I don't recall what the words say, but I think power of attorney is that.
We've seen reporting, I think in the New York Times, that you accompanied Mr. Epstein to visit the White House in 1993, a few months after President Clinton took office. Do you have any recollection of that?
Absolutely didn't happen.
Didn't happen.
Well, I'd been at the White House, but the only time I was at the White House when Clinton was president, he invited a group of like 20 CEOs from around the country to get feedback on the economy. And that was said. And I was there like the president of one of the lumber companies, the chairman of JP Morgan, Sears, companies like that. I was kind of the smallest fish in that bowl. But it was that purpose.
And Mr. Epstein was not present.
Of course not.
So, as far as you know, you did not visit the White House under any administration with Mr. Epstein.
I never visited the White House under any administration, under any circumstance with Mr. Epstein.
Okay.
That I'm positive of.
The New York Times has also reported that at your 59th birthday party, Mr. Epstein acted as sort of a master of ceremonies. He would give toasts and introduce guests and arrange for some people such as Alan Dershowitz and Shimon Peres to attend. Do you recall the party that I'm describing?
Well, Shimon was at a couple of birthday parties. I don't remember Jeffrey being there. If the party was in Columbus, I probably could remember 4 or 5 of the people that were there, and it was a surprise too.
Do you recall, I suppose at any birthday party, but that one in particular, Mr. Epstein playing that sort of a role as a master of ceremonies of sorts?
No. I'm thinking, even at the party that I was thinking about with Shimon Peres, if you ask me who was there, he wouldn't have been on the list. It's not who I remember. It was a different kind of group of friends that Abigail picked to come to the party.
But to the original question, do you recall Mr. Epstein ever acting as a master of ceremonies at a birthday party for you?
No, absolutely not. Did never.
You're going to keep quoting the New York Times?
It's a good thing I don't read newspapers very often. That's crazy.
I'd like to introduce as Minority Exhibit H I'll give you a moment to look this over. It's just one page.
Make 3 copies.
Stanley or Stanley.
So this is a file that was part of the recent DOJ release, and it's some kind of draft or fully composed email from Mr. Epstein. It appears to be intended for you. We do not have knowledge of whether you ever received it. Did you ever receive this
No.
email? Sorry, just for the record. Did you ever receive this email?
I never received this email.
Underst-
Letter or whatever it was.
Understanding that you have not received it and therefore have not previously seen it, is that correct?
Other than anything that counsel may have shown him.
I would like to touch on a few discrete parts of it. Mr. Epstein, at one point early in the email, says that, quote, "I owe a great debt to you as frankly you owe to me." Would you have any sense of why he might feel that way in general, or did he ever express that type of a sentiment to you?
No. When I saw this, like, I know in what you do or people do, they write letters to the file. I've never written one, like a memo to myself. And so I read this and I thought, this is like cover your ass kind of thing. And it just doesn't even sound the way he speaks. And just nonsense in it.
He also said, quote, "As I'm sure you recall, you didn't sit with your mother or sister or Sharon when the conflict arose, as I did it for you. You didn't sit with Jack Kessler, Stanley, or Stanley's son. I did it for you." Do you have any sense of what Mr. Epstein might be referring to there?
Well, I don't know what he's referring to about my mother or my sister. I know who Sharon was. Stanley, I presume, was our previous attorney, Stanley Schwartz, and his son worked in our business and, worked in it until he retired. So that I don't know what the hell he was talking about.
Did you ever ask Mr. Epstein to mediate a dispute or otherwise insert himself into a dispute with the individuals he mentioned here, your mother or sister or Sharon, for example?
No.
Mr. Epstein also says that, quote, "Abigail and I sat, she asked many questions, she made many unfair, aggressive, and false accusations, none of which could have been fully answered without violating a confidence with you." Firstly, do you have an understanding of what he's referring to in terms of Abigail and he having a conversation?
My wife and I have no secret, so the fact that he's having a secret, it's just nonsense.
He goes on to say that you and I had gang stuff for over 15 years, a great deal of it that she was unaware of. I had no intention of divulging any confidence of ours, no matter what accusations she made. So Mr. Epstein at least seems to be asserting that there was something confidential between you and he that your wife was not aware of. Do you have any sense of what that might be?
No.
I'm going to object to the whole thing. This is why we have the hearsay rule, but keep going.
Mr. Epstein goes on to say the quote, I always told you I would never under any circumstances give it up or put you in harm's way, no matter who, what, or when. Do you have any sense of what he might be referring to there? And I'll need a verbal audible.
No, absolutely not. I mean, this is cover your ass psychobabble as far as I'm concerned.
I'd like to do one more exhibit on your personal relationship with Mr. Epstein. So this will be Minority Exhibit I. I'll just tell you briefly what this is.
Well, good.
It's long and you're not going to have to read it. It's a PowerPoint presentation that the FBI put together. It looks like within the last year, summarizing their investigations into Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. It's just their summary of the steps they took during their investigation and who was charged with what. That's what the document is. There is one page of the document that mentions you, and I'll direct you to that. It is all the way toward the back.
I've never seen an FBI document. I'm thinking, should they be giving this shit to me?
So there's one page towards the back that ends in 956. I think it's the third from the last page of the presentation.
There's an earlier reference on 949.
Oh, right, confirming the proper. Apologies, there is. Agreed.
Which page do you want me to look at?
Ending in 956, the only substantive mention of you.
Yes.
You can see this is a slide that's titled Prominent Names, and it's naming some prominent individuals who have some connection or link to Mr. Epstein. Your name appears in the middle column, all the way down at the bottom. And under Les Wexner, it just has one entry. There's a name that's redacted, and its redacted name stated, Epstein earned his money from having homosexual sex with Wexner. I know you were asked this question earlier, but in the context of this FBI report, is it correct that you did not have any sexual or romantic relationship with Mr. Epstein?
Absolutely not, or any man ever. I'm very straight, super straight.
Thank you.
That's wacky. Do we get to keep that? No, I just never read an FBI report.
Go ahead. Thank you, Mr. Wexner, for your testimony here today. Just wanted to start with a question around U.S. Senator John Husted, and it's been reported that you gave him something like $117,000 in donations. Is that correct?
I think you mean John Husted.
I'm John Husted, yep.
I don't know how much money I gave him.
Would that sound about right? It's a substantial sum.
Well, I'm thinking, I met John when he was a state representative. I'm sure I helped him. I helped him politically when he ran for lieutenant governor, I probably contributed to senatorial campaign. So is it possible over time I would have given him that much money? It is.
Well, let me maybe be
But
more
I don't
accurate. I think
remember
it was recently reported that you gave him $117,000 sometime shortly before he voted no on releasing the Epstein files. Would that sound familiar?
No.
No? Did you or any of your representatives ever lobby Senator Husted or anybody else in the federal government to prevent the release of materials related to Jeffrey Epstein files?
Absolutely not.
Did you or your representatives ever request that the Department of Justice redact your name in any files?
No. Absolutely not.
Wanted to move on. Now, I remember the document we referenced a little earlier mentioning former Prime Minister Ehud Barak. Did you ever have a relationship with the former Prime Minister?
Can you define relationship?
Sure. Any relationship? Do you know Prime Minister Barak? How, if so, could you elaborate on how familiar you were with him?
Well, I was only with him a couple or three times in my life. I happened to be in Israel when he was elected, but before he was sworn in as prime minister. We had a brief meeting in his political office. It wasn't the government office. May have met him in Israel when he was prime minister, but I don't recall. I know that I had dinner with him and I think his wife and daughter and Abigail in New York after he was out of office, I think. I don't think he was prime minister.
Did you ever communicate with the Prime Minister outside of personal meetings, phone calls, emails?
He came here once, I think, for Jewish community stuff, and we went to a football game. That's all I remember.
Did you ever communicate by email or phone call or other correspondence?
No, I don't think I ever had his address or phone number or email address or text number or whatever.
Are you aware of the Wexner Foundation or any other trusts or foundations or organizations affiliated with you ever donating money to the former Prime Minister?
No.
Would it surprise you if I told you that an FBI report stated a report that the Wexner Foundation transferred at least $2.3 million in U.S. dollars to former Prime Minister Ehud Barak?
Shocked.
Shocked. Okay. I want to move to a different topic here. Are you familiar with a gentleman named Richard Adrian?
Who?
Richard Adrian.
No.
Do you remember anybody being a bodyguard from you by that name?
No.
No? 1991 to 1992?
No.
How many bodyguards have you had over the course of your career?
I don't.
Hundreds? Dozens?
No, not hundreds, but I don't know.
Dozens. Okay. Now, Mr.
50 or
Adrian
60,
reported that he had accompanied you between 1991 and 1992 when he was your bodyguard to Epstein's Palm Beach home. Does that sound familiar at all?
Objection, that's not what it says.
That he accompanied Mr. Epstein, Mr. Wexner to Epstein's property.
No, it doesn't say that. Are you looking at the?
EFTA 1241249191?
Yeah, it should.
I don't have it in front of me, but
No, it says that he did accompany him, and then it says the bodyguard was at the Epstein residence. It doesn't say the bodyguard was at the Epstein residence with Mr. Wexner.
I'm sorry. Did you ever accompany the bodyguard to Epstein's Palm Beach home?
Everywhere went
Okay.
I hit
So,
security.
yeah. And so would it surprise you then, I believe that this is correct, that the bodyguard said that he noticed a number of young girls there, noticeably young. You've never seen young girls at the Epstein property?
I was only there once for an hour, and I was there with my wife and another couple.
Okay. I have one last question, and then I'll kick it back. You mentioned a couple of times that you received $20 million for the mansion on 71st Street in Manhattan. How was that money transferred to you?
I don't know.
You don't know. Nobody. How do you know it was ever paid to you?
Well, I guess Abigail would have known.
Abigail wouldn't know?
Whether it was a check, whether it was a money order, whether it was, a bag of money. I have no
So
idea.
$20 million, and you just take someone say so for it.
No, $20 million is a lot of money, and airplanes cost a lot of money too, and I don't know exactly how we pay for them, or if we sold an airplane, exactly how we get paid. But you know, we've bought and sold personally a few airplanes, and you could ask me the same question. I don't know.
And so I think we have a number of media references, New York Times, I think the Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, all noting that no cash was transferred at the time of a essential transaction. No exchange of money was noted at the time. So do you have any records, like after the fact, after you learned that Jeffrey Epstein, as you put it, stole from you, did you ever look into how that money was transferred to you?
No.
No, didn't strike your interest, even though you knew that Jeffrey Epstein was stealing from you?
Once I knew he was stealing from me, it was, again, my wife is a very competent business attorney. We have good accountants. I believe good counsel, and that's not what I do. And I don't go back and, you know, if I fired somebody in the business, I didn't follow them to see if they behaved badly again. They were done. That's just
Let me then follow up and ask, did your wife ever mention to you how the money was transferred?
No.
Or that it was transferred?
Objection as to spousal privilege, but he's already answered.
All right, thank you very much then.
Mr. Wexner, Steve Lynch, Massachusetts. How long did you know Mr. Epstein? When did you first meet him?
I think they asked me that question earlier before you joined this group. I think it was like 5 years before I got married, about early 80s, I would guess.
Early 80s?
I think so. I don't remember precisely.
And in all the time that you knew him, and he worked for you, he was your power of attorney, handled a lot of really important things in your life. Do you remember him ever having a romantic interest or women in your presence as his guests or associates? Did you ever?
I mentioned earlier, too, the first one was Dr. Ava Anderson. I met her, and Jeffrey said
When was that, sir? I'm sorry.
when I first met her, whenever that was,
So 80s?
early 80s.
90s, yeah.
And my understanding, because meeting her, is that Ava was a very attractive woman. I think she was in med school, so yeah, and you know, so she was a serious person, and
Yeah.
she is a serious person. She's an oncologist. She's married. She has children.
I get you.
And then I don't know how many years later he broke up with Ava, and Glenn came into his life probably about the time I got engaged, and
When was that, sir?
I got engaged I got engaged on September 8th, 1992, because
Okay.
I got engaged on my birthday.
And so at that point, Mr. Epstein's relationship with Ghislaine Maxwell was romantic at the time.
It was about then that I met her, and they said they were going to get married. And it was, you know, I was getting married, you know, Jeffrey was getting married, so it seemed like, you know, everybody was going to be in Happy Valley in terms of their life. And both women, I mean, they were grown-up women. Ghislaine is exactly the same age as Abigail, and very smart. She said she was like an honors graduate of Cambridge or Oxford, and you know, quite charming, and you know, English accent, and an attractive woman. So I was very happy for them.
Do you ever remember spending time with Epstein, any of his other romantic interests or girlfriends, especially younger women, in your presence?
No, there were no others that I was present or mentioned.
Ever in his presence with women who may have been of teenage or minors?
You know, I thought about that. What did I miss about this guy? And I don't think I was ever with him, or he was ever with anyone. It's vague in my memory that I would say was under the age of 28, 30. I mean, he was with adult women,
What about
or women that They looked adult, they said they were a lawyer and accountant or something.
I know this name has come up earlier in the deposition, Virginia Dufresne. Dufresne, I'm sorry. Do you recall ever meeting her in Jeffrey's presence?
Absolutely never. I don't,
Or Virginia Roberts, I think her maiden name was?
no, absolutely not.
How about Miss Farmer? I thought Miss Farmer might have made allegations about something that happened here on your property.
We've actually covered it. It wasn't his property, it's an adjacent property.
An adjacent property. Thank you for the clarification. Or certainly
No.
on the next door.
No, never.
Was that Mr.
Kessler,
Whose property is next door? I'm sorry.
my friend was business partner in New Albany, Jack Kessler.
So no women who seemed unusually young then?
Absolutely.
Okay. We also understand from your counsel's proffer that you interacted with a number of other prominent people who knew and had dealings with Epstein, including Prince Andrew, various professors at Harvard, perhaps a sultan of some sort in Dubai, perhaps Howard Lutnick. With respect to Prince Andrew, who has also been accused of sexual misconduct in connection with at least one woman trafficked by Mr. Epstein, did you ever see or become aware of this interaction between Prince Andrew and one of these young women?
I never met Prince Andrew, so I wasn't aware of anything other than,
No chatter about that in terms of you're dealing with either introduced by Mr. Epstein or by Ghislaine Maxwell. That whole interaction between those two and Prince Andrew. You have any knowledge of that?
I had no conversations, interactions with Prince Andrew about women or anything. I had one brief, like 2-sentence phone conversation. He called me here in Columbus.
And what was that for?
To me, it's a funny story. I'm getting ready to go to work. I think I was in the garage, and my wife or somebody came out and said, "You have a phone call." Maybe it wasn't my wife, but it was somebody. And they said, "It's a guy that says he's the Duke of York." And I thought, the Duke of York, what the hell is that? So I went in the kitchen, hello, and this is Andrew. I don't think he said this is Andrew, Duke of York. This is Andrew Windsor, or whatever he called himself. And I said, hello. And he said, I helped my mother buy her airplane. And I know that you buy and sell airplanes, so if I could be of service with you in airplane transactions, I could help. And I said, no, thank you. We're covered. And have a nice day. And hung up and just kind of laughed my ass off that the Duke of York called me about.
So he cold called you to sell you an airplane or to help you buy an airplane?
It was airplane advice because he'd helped his
Plane
mother.
that you eventually sold to Mr. Epstein?
Oh, no. It was just, it had nothing to do with anything that was going on. It was like, I know that you buy and sell airplanes in your business. I know you have buy an airplane personally, and I know you buy and sell airplanes. And when you do, if you need an advisor, I'm available. And it's like, no, thank you, I'm covered.
So he offered to advise you on purchasing airplane.
Pardon? Did he?
He offered to advise you? I'm just trying to understand why the Prince of York would be calling you about buying.
Yeah, me too. It was like out of the blue. I mean, you could have called me up that day and said you were the Prince of York and you want to advise me on my lunch or something. I was like, what the hell is this?
You would have recognized the difference in accents.
Yeah, maybe. And with respect to those other figures who I mentioned, did you ever see or become aware of any prominent academic figures or this so-called Sultan of Dubai or Howard Lutnick or any other notable person being introduced to young women by either Epstein or Maxwell?
Well, I've never met Howard Lutnick. I just didn't know his name until he became popular or, in the news.
Yeah, his name's extensively in the
Yeah, so
files, like your own.
But anyway, I just never heard his name, didn't know him. Some of the people that were on that list, I knew their names, and some of them introduced themselves to me.
But that wasn't his
I
question.
understand. Wasn't it?
No.
Oh, because you asked me, I thought you asked if I knew the
Any other of those prominent individuals, were you aware that either Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell was facilitating introductions or contact between those
absolutely not.
individuals and young women?
No, absolutely not.
And you yourself, sir, never had physical contact with any of these young survivors or victims, as they are alternatively called, these young women?
Never, ever.
All right, I believe that's all I have. Thank you.
Just two more, and then we'll give you a break. First, with respect to the birthday note that we looked at earlier for Mr. Epstein's birthday, just making sure we have your testimony. It's that you signed the note, your friend, but Mr. Epstein was not ever actually your friend from your point of view. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you do not have any understanding of why you would sign that card, your friend?
I think I was sending a birthday note to somebody, I'd say your friend or something. I wouldn't just sign my name. It would be like I don't know. It's not a salutation, is it? It's the end of a letter or something. Yours truly, best, something like that.
Do you recall ever drawing a pair of women's breasts on any correspondence with any other business associate of yours?
No?
We can go off the record.
We will go on the record. It's 3:12 p.m. Mr. Wexner, I am going to ask you to bear with me for a second. I have a list of names. I will ask you one question that applies to the entirety of the list, and you will just answer yes or no. And if you answer yes to one of the names, we will come back to further explore that name. Does that make sense?
I think so. Let's try it, see how it works.
So the question is, have you ever had a conversation with any of the following people about Jeffrey Epstein, his crimes, his criminal investigations, or in regard to sexual activity of any kind?
Okay, so not have you ever had a conversation with them, but have you had a conversation with them about those topics? Do you want to repeat it so that we are solid here?
Sure. Have you ever had a conversation with any of the following people about Jeffrey Epstein, his crimes, his criminal investigations, or in regard to sexual activity of any kind? The first name is Ghislaine Maxwell.
No?
Richard Kahn.
No?
Darren Endyke.
No?
Sarah Kellen.
No?
Leslie Groff.
No?
Nadia Marcinkova.
No?
Kathy Rumler.
No?
Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, formerly Prince Andrew.
No?
Peter Mandelson, former UK ambassador to the United States.
No.
Stephen Hoffenberg.
No?
John-Luc Brunel.
No?
Jess Staley.
No?
Paul Morris.
No?
Stephen Cutler.
No?
Mary Casey.
No?
Justin Nelson.
No?
Leon Black,
No,
Glenn Dubin,
no,
Eva Anderson Dubin,
kind of put those as question marks because I think, I'll tell you the answer later because I want to be completely,
understood.
you know,
Bill Gates,
nope,
any person elected or appointed to any federal office,
nope,
any foreign government officials.
nope.
So you said you wanted to clarify on Glenn Dubin and Eva Anderson Dubin. Do you have clarification on that?
Yeah, I know both of them. I met Ava when I thought she and Jeffrey were engaged and going to get married. And I met Glenn at Harvard, I don't know, 10 or maybe 20 years ago. He was acquainted with someone there. And I was at David, no, what? It might have been David Gergen's funeral, something like that. And I saw them and I hadn't seen them in, I don't know, 10 or 15 years. And they said hello and said something, isn't this a shame? What happened to Jeffrey? And I said, yeah, it's a shame, something like that. It was that vague. But most of the names that you mentioned, I've never heard before. I don't know those people.
With Glenn Dubin, you said it was 10 to 20 years ago at Harvard. When you mentioned Eva Anderson Dubin, you said you thought she was engaged to Jeffrey Epstein. Do you know approximately when that was?
About the time I got engaged to Abigail, so at about 92.
Okay.
But I haven't seen either of them until David Gergen's funeral for maybe a decade. I hadn't talked to them, never socialized with them.
Can we just clarify something? Because I think you previously testified that when you met Miss Maxwell, it was around the time of your engagement to Abigail.
Right. Didn't I just say that?
No, you were talking about Ava Anderson.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I met Ava about the time I got, oh, how could that be? I must have met Ava when I met Jeffrey, and then met Glenn when I got engaged. That's
So Ava would have been
10 years before.
early
or 5 years.
to mid 80s.
Yeah, whatever it was. And I think I was only with her once. With them once.
So you never, just to clarify one more name on here, you never spoke with Ghislaine Maxwell about Mr. Epstein or his criminal investigations of any kind?
Never.
It had come out a few years ago now that Ohio State University did a review of their donations, and they identified a little over $300,000 in donations directly from Mr. Epstein and one of his foundations. Ohio State also reported a gift of approximately $2.5 million from the COUQ Foundation, which is another entity of Mr. Epstein's. Did you help facilitate any donations from Jeffrey Epstein to Ohio State University?
Never.
Did you personally ask Mr. Epstein to donate to Ohio State University?
Never.
Did you ever speak to any Ohio State University Board of Trustees members regarding Mr. Epstein or his donations to the university?
Never.
We discussed earlier in this deposition around the time frame of 2019, if you had any involvement with law enforcement as they investigated Mr. Epstein for his crimes he was ultimately charged with in New York. Just to clarify, did you speak to any law enforcement agency of any kind regarding Jeffrey Epstein's investigation in New York in 2019?
Never didn't. No, I don't remember ever talking to any law enforcement agency.
Did you ever provide any documentation to any law enforcement agency of any kind regarding Jeffrey Epstein and his investigation in New York in 2019?
Not to my knowledge.
And just to be clear, you never formally interviewed with anyone from the FBI or Department of Justice about Jeffrey Epstein or his criminal investigation in 2019?
Never.
Did Mr. Epstein ever contact you or attempt to contact you after his arrest in 2019?
I don't think so.
Subscribe to One India and never miss an update. Download the One India app